It's been a week where Shakespeare, Three Waters and Covid-19 have all shared the spotlight. The government's rolling back some of its powers to enforce lockdowns, gathering limits and vaccine mandates, and it's also stepped in to save a school Shakespeare festival that has hosted more than 140,000 teenagers over the 3 decades, including a younger Jacinda Ardern. We caught up with the Prime Minister earlier and asked her about the COVID rules the government currently enforces and what requirements will remain.
Well, we're going to maintain the ones that we have because we know they're the ones that are most effective. So if you have COVID, we require you to stay at home for 7 days. And if you're visiting health settings, we require you to wear a mask. But Neil, that's what we're sticking with. We knew when we removed our other requirements, we'd already modelled that we expected another wave before Christmas. And that's for a couple of reasons, people's immunity waning, the likelihood of extra variants, and that is coming to pass. But we anticipated it, and we do not anticipate it to be as significant as the past waves that we've had.
And the legislation that gave the government power to impose restrictions expires next May. Are there plans to create new emergency pandemic response legislation just in case we have the same type of thing happen in future around pandemics?
We're doing two things. First of all, the legislation that we've had for COVID, we believe now we're in the position where we can pare that right back. So our plan is before the end of the year is to reduce it. We've always said we'll only use the powers that we need. Our situation has changed, so we'll reduce those down. And then you're right, our plan is to keep that in place until we work through what is a future pandemic preparedness piece of law look like. A bit like our civil defence framework, really. We're always prepared for natural disasters. How do we make sure we're better prepared for pandemics in the future? So that's something we're going to take our time to work through.
Prime Minister, the Education Ministry is going to foot the bill for the Shakespeare in Schools comp after Creative New Zealand cut funding. Shakespeare has always been a rich source for Māori oratory. What did you take away from your experience with the program?
Oh, look, I think when we look at our curriculum and the activities that our students engage in, we want there to be choices. We want there to be lots of options. And, if you're a kid that's interested in drama, theatre, the arts, oratory, there's not as many, perhaps sometimes, opportunities. And so that's one of the reasons for me this was an important program. We've also seen it evolve. Minister Robertson has been involved, in the awards for this competition for a number of years. And he was telling me that in recent years they've had in the finals pieces entirely performed in Te Reo Māori. So I think it demonstrates that it has adapted and evolved and has really been embraced by young people. In our view, it should continue. And so the best way for that to happen is actually just through education.
So with the government or the ministry stepping in, does it now look like a bright future for programs like kaupapa Māori programs, including Manu Cordero? Should they expect to get funding to ensure that continues?
Well, of course, there are many programs, that are already funded, for instance, through, and I can't speak to every program here, Neil, but that are already funded, of course, through education. This is a bit unusual that it was a school program that's run for decades that was funded through Creative New Zealand. So this is putting it in under a different umbrella, and it's $30,000. And so for such a significant program that's been going for many years, it just seemed like the simplest solution. We are, however, I think it's fair to say, there's a number of programs like Tapatahi that are significant and growing, and we're constantly looking at the role that we can play in continuing to support and foster the growth of such invigorating programs, such fantastic programs engaging a wide range of age ranges and peoples. And so I think you'll continue to see an evolution there as well.
Now, another problem or issue or something you have to deal with that's come up. Incoming Auckland Mayor Wayne Brown wants to squash Three Waters reform. He calls the reforms a doomed proposal. I understand that you're meeting with him tomorrow. What are you hoping to achieve in your hui?
Well, actually, this will be my third hui with a new incoming mayor. I've met with the new mayor of Christchurch, the new mayor of Wellington. It's really just an opportunity to have, a really early introductory chat. Look, when it comes to the issue of three waters, and I'd say this for every part of the country, where we can agree is that we can't leave things as they are, because if we leave our water infrastructure as it is, it will cost ratepayers more money. In Auckland, they'd be facing bills that would be almost double what they have now. No one wants that. So we work through the options. This is the one that would keep those costs for people in check. We've had some who have opposed that, but I haven't seen the alternatives that they would like to see. So look, we're in the select committee at the moment. There will be changes. We've got good ideas coming in on how we can make tweaks to what we're doing to make it as workable as possible. But a bottom line for me is I won't stand by while people just face increasing rates because we did nothing.
Okay. Prime Minister, next week we acknowledge Te Pūtake o Te Riri as whānau, hapu and iwi across the country commemorate the New Zealand Wars. Do you currently have plans to commemorate this?
Well, for the day itself, I unfortunately won't be able to attend just because of other things in my program that day, Neil. But the day itself, I know, of course, we've got Tainui hosting, and it's a real opportunity for us to continue to invigorate our program of work to commemorate sites and to boost resource and continue to share knowledge. And when I think about, it was only, 3 years ago that we stood down in the parliamentary chamber to finally acknowledge in the walls of Parliament the New Zealand Wars, and then made announcements that we would make New Zealand history compulsory in all our schools. And so that was instigated by young people who said that they wanted to learn more of our history. So that is now in 2023 part of our curriculum. And so I think we'll see these commemorations only grow.